everyone! Welcome back
to Tales from the Trunk with
Brian
and Cara.
And today I'm going to read a story for you. It's called Alone in the Caves.
And it's by Eleonore Schmid.
Enjoy it. Alone in the Caves by Eleonore Schmid. One day the whole family, father, mother, William and Wendy, went for a walk in the forest. There were caves to visit, and the children wanted to explore them all by themselves. Well, all right, but don't forget to take your warm sweaters with you, said Mother. Of course we won't. We'll take the lantern and the candles too, and some matches and white chalk. Mother sat down in the shade of a tree with the picnic basket beside her, and Father went with the children as far as the entrance to the caves. Be very careful, he warned them. But they weren't worried. First they pushed their way through some thick bushes, then they put on their sweaters and walked into the cool darkness of the cave mouth. Startled bats flapped past them, but there was nothing else to see except rocks and sand. William started to draw pictures on the wall. Isn't there anything else in here? Asked Wendy. Her voice had a strange, hollow ring. It echoed eerily, and then everything went quiet again. Their only light came from the flickering lantern, and they seemed to have left daylight far behind. Look at the shapes in the rocks, said William. This one over here's a rabbit, and that's a crocodile. Over there is a giant tortoise, and that's a witch with her cat, and a dwarf who's been turned to stone. He pointed to a rock, which really did look as if it had eyes, a nose, and a pointed chin. Watch this, said William. I can make shadow puppets with my hands. Look, this mouse is so hungry that it's gobbling up the tortoise. The rabbit's jumping over the crocodile, and now it's going to sit on the witch's shoulder. Don't be silly, laughed Wendy as William chatted away. Then suddenly she gasped. Was there someone else in the cave? The two children listened, with their hearts pounding. The dwarf's shadow. Surely it moved, didn't it? There, it moved again. And the face on the wall. William jumped to his feet in horror, and the light went out. All around them there was nothing but darkness. The children held each other tightly. What were they to do? They sat still and listened. How creepy it was suddenly. There was not a sound to be heard. Or was there? Yes. Splish, splash, splish, like musical notes. Can you hear that? Something's dripping, whispered William. He lit the candle again. How wonderful it was, after all, to be in this magical place deep inside the earth. But where could the watery music be coming from? Around a corner, the children discovered a tiny underground lake. Its water was as clear as crystal, and its surface rippled gently. Drops of water fell from the roof of the cave, spreading circular ripples to the shore. Above the lake were wonderful shapes, flowers, stars, rosettes, and rocks shaped like curtains of icicles. Those are stalactites, said William. Wendy was spellbound. They had discovered a secret, enchanted, underground world. William found a piece of crystal which had fallen from the roof. Look how shiny it is, he said, and put it carefully in his pocket. Wendy tugged at her brother's sleeve. We ought to be getting back, she said. They had one last look around, then made their way cautiously past the dwarf. He seemed to give them a friendly nod as they passed. Their chalk marks pointed the way back to the entrance, and the light gradually grew brighter. The cave mouth must be quite close now. How dazzling the light was outside! The grass looked really green, and the sky was bluer than ever. William took great gulps of fresh air. The forest floor smelled of damp earth and mushrooms, and the children were suddenly aware of things creeping and crawling and flying and chirping and hopping and murmuring all around them. Leaves rustled, and flowers glowed with colour. How beautiful and bright everything looked out here. William and Wendy ran back to their parents. There was so much to tell them. Father listened with great interest while Mother unpacked the picnic. Today, all the food tasted especially delicious. Everything seemed really peaceful. The air felt so good and the sun so warm. But night was falling, and the children were tired after their adventures. From that day on, Wendy wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. In her dreams, she heard the music of dripping water coming from far away. She walked towards it and saw fairies bathing in the lake and elves singing and dancing on the shore. William was very proud of his piece of crystal. It gleamed with beautiful colours in the moonlight. So, have you ever been alone in the dark?
Yes, and I'm not a fan of it.
Are you afraid of the dark? Thanks for joining us on Tales from the Trunk with Brian
And Cara!
Bye!